Have you ever wondered if the guidance that you're receiving is actually leading you away from your own inner wisdom? And here's a deeper question. When we're channeling, are we accessing something beyond us, or are we subtly giving away our power? You're listening to Connecting to Spirit, and I'm your host, Lisa Brandis. And today we're diving into a question that I've personally been sitting with and really exploring at a deeper level. Because if you're intuitive and you're learning how to channel, this is a conversation that really matters. Recently, I had a healing session myself, and there was something that was said in that appointment that really stayed with me. It was the idea that when we're dysregulated, when we're stressed or overwhelmed, or just not even fully grounded, we can receive distorted intuitive information. And I'll be honest, as someone who trusts my intuition, that can land a little uncomfortably, because when you trust your intuition, the idea that what you're receiving might not always be as clear can feel confronting. But what really got me thinking was this: the suggestion that even when we're channeling, we might still be externalizing wisdom, that when we say, my guide said this, there can be a subtle way of placing authority outside of ourselves. And this is where I really checked in, and I've always taught my students that not to follow any guidance blindly. You don't override your own knowing. And if something doesn't feel right, then you question it, and you then feel into it and you discern it. And it brought me back to something that I have reflected on before. What is the difference between, say, Wayne Dyer and Esther Hicks? So Wayne Dyer used to speak about inspiration, a higher wisdom moving through him, but he embodied it as his own voice. Whereas Esther Hicks would step aside and allow Abraham to speak directly through her. So here we have two very different expressions, and yet both in their own right very incredibly powerful. And this is where something really clicked for me, because the truth is both can be right at the same time. So when we are channeling, we may genuinely be connecting to a different level of consciousness, a distinct frequency, something that feels separate to us. And at the same time, that guidance is coming through us, through our body, through our awareness, and through our life experience. So it's never completely separate. It's a blend. And this is the difference. If we don't acknowledge that, we can start to externalize that wisdom. We can start to believe that it's coming from out there and not recognize our role in that exchange. And that's where the power can be given away. But when we do acknowledge it, and when we stay embodied, then we understand. So this is co-creation. It's guidance moving through me that is both the channel and me. And that's where I believe true empowerment sits. And in my own work, I've experienced both. There are times when I'm fully present, translating, guiding, communicating. And then there are moments when it genuinely feels like Anya steps in, and the tone shifts, the energy in the room shifts, and it feels distinctly different to my human perspective. And I do trust that experience. I remember early on when Anya told me that she was Pleiadian, she actually told me not to go and research other people's experience of that energy, because each person connects through their own consciousness. So that kind of made sense to me at the time, although I did go and Google it. But we're not just receiving, we are co-creating the experience. So therefore, any representation that would be her coming through me will create a new frequency together. And it brings me to something more recent. After many years of teaching and then a period of working online, I went to a live event and I was watching this speaker on stage, and he was completely in his element. He was authentic, he was connected, he was sharing his message with his heart, and something inside me lit me up. And it just reminded me of what I used to experience when I was teaching in person and on stage. That connection, that presence, and that feeling of being in alignment with source and inspiring an audience. And I remember thinking to myself, I could be doing this again. And then something deeper happened as I reflected on the experience with some time after that event. I realized something important, that what I was seeing on stage was the final result. And behind that, I know, because I've run big events, there's a team and a structure and a system and a whole nother level of organization that led to creating that experience on stage. And while part of me felt really inspired, and another part of me also recognized that this doesn't fully resonate for me right now. And that is an example of discernment. Discernment, not judgment. Judgment says, I don't like that, or that thing that I'm watching or perceiving is wrong. Discernment says, I see that. I can feel what it's like and what it's being created, but that's not for me right now. So it allows you to take inspiration without needing to replicate it. And this is exactly the same, I believe, with channeling, with readings, with guidance. Just because something comes through us doesn't make it the absolute truth, because we're still human. We are still interpreting the messages, we're filtering them, we're translating them through our own awareness. And that also means that our state matters. Our energy matters. Our intention really matters. So what supports clarity? Being grounded, being regulated, and setting a clear intention. And practices like Reiki naturally bring you into that state, so that when you're channeling, you're not just receiving, you're holding a clear, aligned space. And actually, I want to do something a little different here. Rather than just talking about this, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to ground my energy to connect and to bring a message through from Anya. And as you listen, I want you to notice how it feels. Does it resonate? Does it feel clear? Does it feel true for you? Yes. It is a beautiful experience to be able to work with you, Lisa, and to blend with you, and to be able to share our perception, our messages with you, through you, to reach those that are picking up the frequency of our voice, our resonance, our tone that is co-created with you, with your voice, your message, your desire and your intention to bring not only healing, but to bring spiritual awakening to those that are here and ready to learn and to develop and to grow with their intuitive awareness and those intuitive skills that are just waiting to be awakened by the human that is perceiving and sensing and intuiting both the non-physical reality and the physical reality. And it can be hard for the budding channel who is trying to understand how to both interpret a message that is of a different frequency, being able to understand it as we work with your vocal cords and we work with your physical system and your energetic being, as well as understanding that there's a level of trust that needs to take place as we both develop that relationship and rapport with you through telepathic communication initially, and then when there's that readiness for us to be able to directly communicate through you as a human vessel. We blend both our energy, we blend both the intention of your co-creation with our intention to be able to bring wisdom and guidance through that can be deciphered by the human consciousness to give simple and easy to follow instructions that can help those that are also ready to awaken to a higher, broader perspective, that it might be communicated in a way that they too can start to experience with support the shifts and the readiness of the physical form in order to calibrate to the energy that we are. And as you mentioned earlier, Lisa, a Pleiadian frequency. And we would rather spend more time focusing our intent and our energy and our healing on the physical experience of your humanity now as we help you from our perspective. It is not as important that you understand where we are from, and we're responding to an inner thought that Lisa had about where exactly are we now. We are consciousness, so therefore we are not confined to a place, but we share of our lineage being Pleiadian and our frequency on a different planet, a different frequency vibration, so that you can understand that we come with a different sense and sense awareness to be able to interpret the message. We are aware of the physical experience at this time and the big grand awakening that is happening on the planet, and our role is to co-create with healers that have awakened to the birthing of the new energy on the human, through the human frequency and the human form, the physical body, and also to awaken more light on the planet as you go through this planetary awakening and the planetary earth shift that is taking place right now. We look forward to these transmissions through Lisa, and we love that she is exploring her awareness of allowing both our message and our frequency to come through her as a channel, as a speaker and frequency for us as a collective, but also being aware that she is present right now, however, has surrendered to allow us to speak directly with you, those who are tuning into her podcast. So we will now hand back to Lisa and allow her to share her experience of receiving our message directly in this transmission, and she'll be able to help you to understand how two things can be correct, both channeled wisdom where Lisa's consciousness is still a part of it. However, she is very well aware that we are a different frequency and a different embodiment to that which she is in her human form. From the collective, we are all one. So there is an element that is a frequency match. Therefore, it is complex to be able to explain this in a way that can be received by your current state of awareness. And we hope this has helped shed the light on exactly what Lisa was contemplating. So our response to the question is yes, two things can be true at once. It can be us as a separate frequency to Lisa in a human form, and it can also be Lisa interpreting us through her energy field. Therefore, she is a part of the experience, so cannot be totally separated out. So there is a energy of the collective of her frequency, us and ours. So namaste, enjoy this message, allow it to filter into your awareness, and we look forward to more transmissions like this in the future. Namaste. Yeah, it is always such a privilege to be able to feel her presence and feel Anya's energy. And yeah, I am back. I'm aware that I was holding space, and the best way that I can describe what it's like when Anya comes through is that it's like sitting in a room and I'm listening with you to her message, but it's coming through me. So I'm in the room feeling the message as I'm translating it, but I'm not consciously translating and had no idea what she was going to say before she came in and said it. And then there's also parts of me where I have a question in response, like my mind questions something that she said, and it's almost like there's a frequency and I bring a signal in. My thoughts bring a signal into the frequency, and then if she chooses to, she can respond to the thought that I put into the stream of consciousness that she was sharing. So I hope that explains the channeling. It was really more just expressing the kind of contemplation that came from the healing session that I had myself. So whether you experience this kind of phenomenon as a guide or your higher self or expanded consciousness, the real question is, did that feel true? Because the most powerful question isn't, was it real? It's, did that create clarity or confusion? Did it expand you or contract you? So yes, we can be influenced by our state. Yes, we can misinterpret things at times. But when you are grounded and present and willing to question what comes through, when you are not giving your power away, you are leading yourself through the process. And that is the kind of intuitive connection you can really trust. So stay grounded, trust your own knowing, and I can't wait to see you next time.